The Freedom Flotilla was organised with a dual purpose. The intention was to bring aid to people in Gaza, but it was also to break the siege of Gaza. It was a political action as much as it was a humanitarian gesture. The siege of Gaza has been ongoing since, well, about 2006, but it was in reaction to the election in which the majority of people in that area voted for Hamas. In Israeli terms, they supported the wrong party. Israel decided that its response to that would be to impose a collective punishment on the people of Gaza. The outcome of that has been a massive humanitarian crisis. People are isolated, they're cut off from the outside world, the port is inoperable, the airport is closed down, and people can only get in through the Rafah crossing, which is strictly controlled by Egypt under pressure from Israel, and the Israeli land crossings are very, very strict. I suppose the motivation, however, for an awful lot of solidarity work with Gaza at the moment came probably not directly as a result of the siege that existed pre-2008, but because of the massacre in late 2008 and 2009, when the Israelis moved in on Gaza and they killed 1,400 people in the space of a couple of weeks, and that included over 300 children. It's been described as a war. It's been referred to as the war in Gaza. That's a misnomer in my opinion. It was a massacre where they killed thousands, hundreds of people, and suffered very few casualties themselves. In fact, many of the people that died on the Israeli side, I think it was 14 died, many of them were the result of friendly fire. There was deaths through friendly fire from their own side. It was a one-sided massacre of people within Gaza. And in the process of doing that, they also destroyed the infrastructure. They destroyed the schools, they destroyed the hospitals, they destroyed the roads, they destroyed the ordinary means of life, the economy, if you like, of Gaza. And they've refused to allow Gazans to rebuild since. The goods that have been blockaded, the goods that they won't allow in, include very simple reconstruction materials such as cement. They won't allow cement in because they say that Hamas can use it to build weapon systems. You know, let's figure that one out. Presumably they mean bunkers. But they refused to allow in reconstruction materials, but also the most banal and ordinary of objects, such as toys, chocolates, crisps, all banned. Everything was strictly controlled. Now, in an attempt to regain some credibility in the wake of the massacre on the flotilla, they've allegedly reduced the restrictions on the land side of the blockade. But it's completely misleading. I mean, they have attempted really to mislead international opinion with very small gestures. They're still strictly controlling what's allowed in through the land points. And the siege of Gaza continues, the humanitarian crisis continues. The objective of the Free Gaza movement is to end the siege, and we set out in late May to break the siege and to bring humanitarian aid into that area. The materials we had on board the ships varied from bags of cement to boxes of potato crisps. Really, we were bringing in anything that was on the banned list, which effectively was everything. You know, there was very little allowed in. And I suppose, as Peter has pointed out, we set off with a measure of hope, certainly with determination. We had 6 ships, and there was a 7th ship, which we should mention because it's important as well. The Rachel Corrie, an Irish ship, Free Gaza ship from Ireland, unfortunately was held up because of steering difficulties with the propeller, and it came in afterwards. One of the things that we found uplifting when we were in prison in Beersheba was to hear through the Irish envoy, when he was eventually left in, that despite the massacre on the flotilla, the Rachel Corrie was continuing on course for Gaza, and that really lifted people's spirits. It was an important moment, I think, because we realised then that international solidarity was as strong as ever and people were as determined as ever. And I think that's one of the things that we need to reflect on when considering the flotilla. The massacre was an appalling thing, the attack on the flotilla was an appalling thing, but there were wonderful moments as well, and I think the solidarity that was shown throughout, right to the very end, was striking deep, and I think spread out across the world afterwards as people went back to their various countries. As I've said, FIACRA has dealt with the chronology of the attack, so I won't deal with that in any detail, but there are one or two things I do want to say. The attack on the Mavi Marmara has been portrayed in some quarters as somehow different from the attack of the rest of the flotilla, and I can see why people would think that they were treated differently, and perhaps the level of violence was greater because they were considered to be on the Muslim ship, so to speak. I'm not convinced of that myself, because I think that the level of violence used across the flotilla was quite nasty. I think it's a difference of degree and of proportion. The attack on the flotilla was simultaneous after 4 o'clock. It happened about between 4 and 4:30 on the Monday.